I just woke up and thought I would share with you something that I was working on before I went to sleep. I decided to do a little bit of a meditation, and I ended up going into this space where I was walking along with some cypress trees, and then for some reason I ended up at my grandpa's funeral, and I guess my idea in my mind was I I should be able to rewrite. I wanted to get rid of this virus I'm like experiencing. So I saw all of the cars pull up into the parking lot, and instead of their physical bodies getting out of their vehicles, the physical bodies stayed, and all of their spiritual bodies like walked into the church this was being held at. And I saw everybody walking in and sitting down, and instead of my grandpa laying in the coffin, his body laying there, his spirit body was just sitting on a chair in the middle of the room. And we all sat down, and he asked that the little kids come sit around him, and he was telling us the story of Little Red Riding Hood. And then after he told this story, and this was great because he was a storyteller, and that's one thing that I just loved about him, was sitting and listening to his stories. And so he told us the story of Little Red Riding Hood, and then spoke to us of how much he loved us and some other things that were really beautiful. And then the funeral proceeded, and the speakers that spoke still spoke, and the singers still sung. But then afterwards he got up to the pulpit and he got to speak as well. And then we all disseminated and went and watched his body be buried, but we were all still just in the spirit form doing this. And we got back in our cars and drove away. And then I was back at the cypress trees, and he was talking to me about Little Red Riding Hood and why he mentioned that story, and how we all know that life is just it's just it's just the imagination. We're just creating this holographic experience so that we can have experience. And it really is just something that we're creating. And he was like, remember that it's all just a story, like Little Red Riding Hood. And he put a cape on me, and he's like, you get to create any story you want. And so how about you just decide to create a different story, or the best one you want for your life. And it became so visceral what he was talking about, like anything. And so a little while ago I broke my ribs, and so I went back, and I'm trying to, in my mind, or when I'm still in this meditation, see the story differently, like rewrite the story differently. And instead of like the girl falling down and her leg coming up and me falling on her and bashing through her ribs, like somebody catches us, and so we don't fall to the ground and the ribs don't break. And so I'm seeing this, and then I'm going back into the cypress trees, and I'm asking him, like, well, Grandpa, how do you see the alternate story? Like, how does that one become more real? Like, how can you experience that one more real? And then I end up leaving the meditation. But what's crazy is none of that happened in the right order, because I'm telling you this, but the only reason why I was doing it is because I had the information first, like to go and start rewriting the funeral. So I'm not sure on how all of the timing worked out. It's kind of vague. Anyway, so what was interesting was that as I was laying there and doing this, I felt like, a large percentage of what I was feeling, the symptoms start to subside and ease back, and they're not completely gone at this moment. But it was interesting just to be feeling those shift. And I've known a lot of this stuff. Nothing was presented to me that was new tonight, but what was so beautiful was to actually see that funeral differently and the things that he said, and then to have him talk about it, talk about the creation that we're in, and how the altered reality is about a story. Like, I just find that piece so intriguing that he tied it to Little Red Riding Hood, because one of the things I love doing is teaching and writing, and I'm creating a business around this right now, and I just thought about this idea of like I'm integrating storytelling and singing into, like how to disseminate all the information. Like those are the different formats for doing it. But this whole idea about teaching people, like, how do you write a story, and what makes it a really good story, and how can you realize that life really is just something that we're writing, and everything that's going on we're creating right now, and get them so interested in writing a story that they understand that they can alter and shift it, and it can be as fun as like you listening to a storyteller. Every year I go to the Timpanogos Storytelling Festival. It's been one, like, that's seriously my favorite thing to do on my birthday. My ex-husband used to like take the kids for the weekend and allow me just to go to it so I can just completely immerse myself in the storytelling. And I'd always come back with something. When my kids were little, one year I came back after they did a lot of puppetry, and we built all of our own puppets and this whole like puppet portable curtain, and we did a puppet show at the library for kids there. There was a story time thing that they do weekly, so my kids and I practiced a few stories and made these puppets, and we did that at the library when they were like really little, and we've done it a few times at different places.